Kare Mwapenduka and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. I am Glenora Shipura. Getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast, Myanmar military government extend state of emergency by 6 months, and Sudan's military leader survives drone strikes, according to the army. And in Mozambique, new draft law for the national health system approved. Do stay tuned for these and more on Africa Good Morning.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Getting into our top stories, Myanmar's military government has extended the country's state of emergency by 6 months as it struggles to maintain its grip on power. All members of the military-controlled National Defense and Security Council unanimously decided to extend the state of emergency on Wednesday, owing to terrorist acts by government opponents, said state broadcaster MRTV. Army Chief and Acting President Min Aung Hlaing had proposed the extension to prepare valid and accurate ballots for elections scheduled for 2025, said the broadcaster, adding that the delay was needed to carry out the population census. Last week, all responsibilities of Myanmar's figurehead president were handed over to Min Aung Hlaing after Mint Siwe, the acting president at the time, was placed on medical leave due to a prolonged illness. Min Aung Hlaing has repeatedly promised to hold a multi-party election, saying in June that polls will be conducted in 2025. Critics say the proposed polls will be neither free nor fair. Myanmar has been in turmoil since the military seized power in February 2021, making unsubstantiated allegations of fraud in the 2020 elections, with Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy, which won in a landslide victory. The military put the country under emergency rule for a year when it took power, extending the measure multiple times as it battled established ethnic minority armed groups and newer pro-democracy People's Defense Forces. Under the military-drafted 2008 constitution, which is still in force, authorities are required to hold elections within 6 months of a state of emergency being lifted. Now getting into our next story, Sudan's military leader, Gen. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has survived an assassination attempt, the army's spokesman has told the BBC. Nabil Abdallah blamed the paramilitary rapid support forces, which the army has been battling for the last 16 months, for control of the country. He said 2 drones had struck an army graduation ceremony, killing 5 people at a base in Jabid in the East Territory under the control of the military. The RSF has not commented on the attack, which comes after Gen. Burhan's government agreed to conditionally join them at US-mediated peace talks next month. Previous talks to end the conflict, which has created the world's largest humanitarian crisis, have failed as both sides have refused to honor their commitments. More than 10 million people have fled their homes since the former allies fell out over an internationally backed political plan to move towards civilian rule. The Jabid army base is about 100 kilometers from Port Sudan, the military's de facto capital, and where Gen. Burhan is based. Video footage being shared from those attending the ceremony on Wednesday morning shows military graduates marching in a ceremonial dress before the sound of a strike. Getting to our next story, Rwanda-based IRCAD Africa has trained more than 300 African surgeons in minimally invasive surgery, a government health official said, as the African continent tries to address the great disparity between high and low income countries in the use of these high-tech surgical operations. Rwanda inaugurated IR-CAD Institute de Recherche contre les cancers de l'appareil digestif Africa, the only center on the continent that deals in research and training in an effort to help train Africa's next generation of medical professionals in minimally invasive surgery. Minimally invasive surgery is a modern medical technology that minimizes pain and trauma on patients, allowing for shorter periods spent in hospital, a lower risk of bleeding and infection, and speedy recovery. In Africa, many states still use traditional surgery that require long and painful operations and long periods of recovery, health officials said. Now, the center's managing director, David Commander, told the Associated Press that it is a surgery area where high-tech instruments are used to do surgical operations. On the African continent, more than 95% of the population don't have access to medical and surgical procedures. This is also one of the solutions we brought here in Rwanda, especially serving the African continent, Kamanda said. Kamanda also said the trained surgeons are coming from 25 countries on the continent and beyond, adding that the East African country was chosen to host because of its global rankings, safety, and internet connectivity. The Mozambican government yesterday approved the draft law that establishes the legal framework for the national health system, a draft which aims to adapt it to the health challenges of the current context. The proposed law aims to adapt the national health system to the complexity and dimensions of the health challenges, combined with the socio-economic situation and demographic and epidemiological transitions in the country, reads a note from the Secretariat of the Council of Ministers issued after the body's weekly meeting. In the document, the Mozambican executive does not provide details about the changes, stating only that the new legal framework, which must be approved by Parliament, applies to public, community, and private institutions, individuals, and communities that carry out activities in the health sector. The Mozambican national health system has faced severe pressure over the last 2 years, caused by employee strikes against salary cuts and lack of overtime pay. First by the Mozambican Doctors Association, which is threatening to stop work again in September, and then by the Association of United and Solidary Health Professionals of Mozambique, which recently ended its strike, but is also threatening to resume it. In an interview with Lusa in June this year, APSUSM, which represent around 65,000 health professionals from different departments, described the situation in the national system as chaotic, warning that professionals who have been protesting constantly in recent months were working under poor conditions. Now, in the last of our top stories, Guinea's transnational authorities have presented a draft of a new constitution which will reduce and set presidential term limits and potentially allow current military leader Mamadi Doumbouya to participate in the next presidential election. The junta that took power in a coup in 2021 proposed a 2-year transition to elections in 2022 after negotiating with the Economic Community of West African States regional bloc, but has shown little sign of moving to organize a vote. The new draft constitution, expected to be voted in yet to be decided by the referendum, could pave the way for the bauxite and iron ore producing West African nation to return to constitutional rule. The new text presented on Monday at the National Transitional Council, which acts as parliament under the interim regime, did not forbid members of the ruling junta from participating in the electoral process. Former President Alpha Conde, who is 86, who was overthrown by soldiers almost 3 years ago, would be excluded from the race due to the age limit. Is dementia a normal part of aging? Someone who suffers from dementia every 3 seconds, what are the causes and how can we prevent it? On the other side of the break, we'll be taking a look at this.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.ma.
As previously mentioned before the break, we're taking a look at dementia. Is dementia a normal part of aging? Do you know that someone suffers from dementia every 3 seconds? And what are the causes? Can we prevent it? Is there a cure? Dr. Catherine Sahir explains in Science and 5.
Is dementia a normal part of aging?
Research is ongoing into a possible cure. There are things that we can do to reduce our risk.
Are these symptoms I should worry about? There is a condition that will impact all of us in our lifetime, whether as patients or as caregivers. And someone gets this condition every 3 seconds. We are talking about dementia today with Dr. Catherine Sahir. Welcome, Catherine. Thanks. What are the symptoms of dementia?
Well, first of all, dementia is an umbrella term for many different diseases that destroy nerve cells and damage the brain. The most common cause of dementia is Alzheimer's disease. Dementia typically leads to memory loss and cognitive decline, such as forgetting words, forgetting where you kept things, easily getting lost, or having problems following a conversation or performing a usual task. Dementia also often co-occurs with mood or behavior changes. And over time, the symptoms get worse, so that someone who's living with dementia may require more and more help from their family and loved ones to perform daily tasks.
So, Catherine, is dementia a normal part of aging?
No, it's not a normal part of aging. In fact, 2 in 3 people in their 90s don't have dementia. It is a medical condition of the brain. And even people in their 40s and 50s can get dementia.
This is a bit concerning because, sometimes I'll come into a room and I forget why I came in there, and I'll often misplace my keys. Are these symptoms I should worry about?
Well, not necessarily. We all do forget things from time to time. You might forget where you kept your keys, but not knowing what a key is for is a completely different story. Or you might forget why you entered a room because you were distracted or you were multitasking. If you are concerned, speak to your healthcare professional. They can run additional tests and investigate further.
So is there a cure for dementia, and what are the treatments available?
Well, currently there is no cure for dementia. There are some medicines that help some people to manage their symptoms for a while, but they don't treat the underlying cause of the dementia. Research is ongoing into a possible cure, but it will be a while before we can deliver those treatments safely and widely. Still, it is important to receive an early diagnosis because that helps you to make sense of the symptoms that you or a family member might be experiencing, and then you can plan for the future. And I do encourage everyone who lives with dementia to lead an as active life as possible, physically, mentally, and socially, because that will help you to remain independent and maintain good quality of life for longer.
So, Catherine, if there is history of dementia in my family, should I be worried that I might get it too? And what can I do to prevent it?
Usually, dementia is not passed down within families. But what you might share with family members are conditions that make you more likely to develop dementia, such as having hypertension or diabetes, or smoking, unhealthy diets, or living in an area with high air pollution. Unlike with genes, there are things that we can do to prevent or reduce our risk of developing dementia. What's good for your heart is good for your brain. So be physically active, eat healthily, treat conditions such as hypertension or diabetes. And the other important message is throughout life, train your brain and protect it from injuries. So for instance, learn a new language, meet friends, or go dancing. All these activities stimulate your brain and help formulate new and stronger and more connections between nerve cells and ultimately help you fight off disease.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us, Katrin. Until next time, then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
All right, we now take a look at the weather predictions before we return with economic news. Getting into our economic news, Telecom Namibia celebrated its 32nd anniversary yesterday in Swakopmund. The event coincided with the Telecom Namibia Equino submarine cable station inauguration. This inauguration is set to improve digital connectivity between Africa and Europe. Acting Deputy Prime Minister John Mutora, on behalf of the President Nangolo Mbumba, officiated the event. Let's take a look.
Momentous occasion marks the inauguration of the Telecom Namibia Equano cable station and the activation of the Equano subsea cable. And two, Telecom Namibia's 32nd anniversary as the national telecommunications service provider in our country. From the government and from the people of Namibia, we are saying happy anniversary Telecom Namibia. Ladies and gentlemen, this dual achievement signifies a transformative leap forward in Namibia's technological journey, effectively supporting the initiative for bridging the digital divide and connecting our nation to a brighter future within the digital landscape.
We now take a look at our economic indicators before we return with sporting news with Ari Hohat.
Good day, everyone. Time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. On the Olympic Games, it is Olympic Games in Paris that continues, and it is still week one. Lots of sports action, different sports action, and let's start with the soccer. It is the teams that qualified for the quarterfinals. Firstly, the United States. They beat Guinea by 3-0. They through to the last 8, and then also Argentina too strong for the Ukraine, winning by 2-0. Paraguay beat Mali by 1-0, and then Morocco also too strong for Iraq. The score there was 3-0. And then a good result for Egypt. That's a good result for Africa as well. And they beat Spain by 2-1. Both of those teams, they through to the quarterfinals. Egypt had to at least draw that game, but a win was good enough for them for the last 8 in the soccer. On to women's rugby, and the final there, it was New Zealand that again won gold. They also won gold in Tokyo. So it's New Zealand that beat Canada in a tough final by 19 points to 12 to win gold for New Zealand. Then on to gymnastics, and it was the United States women's team that won the team competition, and it was significant for one of their gymnasts, and that is Simone Biles. She's one of the well-known gymnasts from the United States, and she's now the most decorated gymnast in the history for the United States at the Olympics. She won an 8th gold medal. On to tennis at the Olympic Games. It's being played at Roland Garros at the big stadium in Paris, and it is Alexander Zverev. He's a defending champion. He won the title, the Olympic title, 4 years ago. He's through to the next round. In the second round, he beat Thomas Macic of Chechnya, beat him 6-3 and 7-5. Also good result for number 4 seed, that is Daniil Medvedev. He also won in the second round. And then in the doubles, it is all eyes on the pair of Spain, that is Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal. They through to the quarterfinals, and they beat Dylan Griekspoor and Wesley Koolhof. They from the Netherlands, and they also through to the next round, that is into the quarterfinals. That is Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal. Not a good result for the second seed in the women's tennis, and that is Coco Gauff of the United States. She lost to Donna Vekic by 7-6 and 6-2 out of the tournament. And then better for Barbora Krejcikova. She recently won Wimbledon, the singles title. That was on grass, now on clay. She's also doing well. She beat Elena Svitolina of the Ukraine in 3 sets, also to advance to the next round. Then continuing with swimming news, a good result for Ireland in the swimming, that is men's swimming. It was Daniel Wiffen that won gold, and it was the first Irishman to win gold for the men in swimming since 1988, and he won the 800-meter freestyle, so a great result for Ireland. Also in the 4x200-meter freestyle, that is the men's team competition, it was Great Britain that won gold, and they beat USA and Australia into second and third. And to close off today's international sports news, it is sports news outside of the Olympics. It is English Premier League soccer that will start soon. The English Premier League starts on the 16th of August. And some team news for players that were signed. Chelsea confirmed that they signed the Villarreal goalkeeper, that is Philippe Jorgensen. That is on a contract worth about $22 million. And also Bournemouth, they agreed terms, that is for the services of 19-year-old defender Dean Huijsen. And he's got a 6-year contract that will be worth $15 million. So that is all English Premier League that will start soon. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining Africa Good Morning on this beautiful Thursday morning. From me, Glenora Shipura. Until next time.